Have you ever seen something that you thought was there, but every time you look, it's not? Have you ever seen something from the corner of your eye and when you turn, there's nothing there? All around us there is shadows. Shadows and darkness. Things that hide in those shadows and things that hide in that darkness that we know are there. But every time we look, we can't see it. I can barely see 10 feet in front of me, Cindy complained, gripping the steering wheel tightly. She could feel the tires losing traction on the slick, icy roads. And where did all this freaking snow come from anyway? We're in San Diego. Julian, technically, Stacy corrected. She tried to smile and make light of the concern that both of them felt. The news had warned of snowstorm in Julian, which was why Cindy and Stacy were trying to make their way down the mountain as quickly as possible. But before they got far, the skies had darkened, almost unnaturally fast, and with it, the onslaught of relentless snowfall. I don't give a crap if it is, Julian, Cindy snapped, clearly not picking up on the humor that Stacy was attempting to use to alleviate the situation. She bit her bottom lip, looked at Stacy. Sorry, she quickly said. Just going down the mountain, I keep feeling the tires lose traction. And no offense, but I don't want to die with you. Going off the side of this mountain embankment and plunging to our deaths 300 feet down below. Let's just pull over, Stacy suggested, shrugging her shoulders. And what? Cindy laughed, though Stacy could still hear the nervousness in her tone. Would we try to keep each other warm? I won't tell if you don't, Stacy smirked. You're crazy, Cindy shook her head, her red locks of hair falling around her shoulders. Yeah, Stacy smiled, feeling Cindy finally easing up. And if you're only just now discovering that, we're not as good friends as I thought we were, she joked. Both of them laughed before Stacy suddenly pointed. Look up there, a hotel. What are the chances they're going to have an open vacancy? Cindy growled. I bet everyone's checked out every hotel in Julian because no one wants to drive down this damn mountain. Are you always this negative? Stacy laughed, knowing that Cindy was actually never this negative. Cindy was generally a very positive person. Only when I'm stuck in the car with you, bitch, Cindy laughed as she pulled over. Cindy and Stacy got out of the car, and the snow seemed to push them eagerly towards the hotel, the chilling wind biting at their flesh. The bell rang as Cindy and Stacy entered the hotel, shaking off the snow. Welcome to the Julian Auric Surge. It's a bad one out there, the clerk behind the desk smiled at them. He had rarely seen two such beautiful women. Cindy looked at the clerk's name tag and then at the clerk. Why, yes it is. Is that pronounced Thomas? It's pronounced the same as Thomas, he said with a smile. I don't suppose you have any vacancies open in this hotel, Stacy asked. Thomas heaved a deep sigh. Unfortunately not. The snow has driven a lot of people into the hotel, and with how dark the roads have gotten, no one wants to take their chances driving down the mountain. Cindy turned to Stacy and shook her head. I knew it couldn't be this easy. Just then another voice said, Thomas, there is one room available. Cindy turned and saw what was clearly the manager. The man approached Cindy and Stacy and extended his hand. My apologies for Thomas's error. My name is Lewis. I'm the manager of the Julian Auric Surge. As it turns out, there is just one room available that you wonderful ladies could technically have. Stacy was looking over Thomas's shoulder and read deep concern in his look as she stared at the manager. Stacy looked back at the manager and listened. And, he continued, might I offer some free margaritas delivered to your room for this inconvenience? Cindy perked up at the mention of margaritas, however. Stacy was looking between Thomas, who seemed to be slightly pleading for them to decline the room. We'd be glad to take the room, Cindy said. Excellent, Lewis said. He handed Cindy the key. Your room will be room 10. If you have any luggage in the car, I can summon the bellhop, Christopher, to go get it for you. No luggage, Cindy laughed. We're just here to wait out the storm. Cindy and Stacy made their way down the hall, and not long before reaching the room, they saw a janitor mopping up what appeared to be blood in the hall. The janitor, who wore a name badge with the name Fabian, hastily scribbled across it in Sharpie, not nearly as professional looking as the one that Thomas or the one that the manager Lewis wore, looked down at the red stain on the floor, paused, thought about it for a moment, said, This? No, he said hastily finally. One of the guests spilled wine. Red wine. That's all it is. I've drank a lot of wine in my day, Stacy said, looking at the stain. I don't think I've ever seen a red wine that stained that kind of color. And trust me, Cindy laughed. She has spilled a lot of wine from being so intoxicated, Cindy said as she jokingly punched Stacy in the arm. This time it was Stacy's nerves who were being put at ease seeing Cindy joking and comfortable. Shut up, bitch, like you haven't spilled your fair share of drinks, Stacy said. Remember that time at the White Heron Cellars? They both laughed as they recalled that time Cindy tried to stand and make a toast, swaying like a field of grain before toppling over, falling over her chair and spilling the wine down her white shirt, which had made it look like that she had been shot, and that is why she had fallen over. Stacy and Cindy opened the door to room 10 and entered. There was an unusual chill throughout the room. Tell me this room has a heater in it, Cindy growled, or else I'm going to be able to cut glass. Stacy laughed as she fiddled with the heater. Calm your tits, she laughed. I'm turning up the heater for you. A few moments later, a knock came to the door. Both of them sprung up simultaneously, said, Margaritas, and laughed. Cindy opened the door and saw a woman, as they suspected, with 2 margaritas on a tray. She entered the room and placed them in the corner. My name is Jane, she said. Lewis has told me that these are for you and on the house. If there's anything else you need, please feel free to call the front desk, and we'll be glad to accommodate everything you may need. After several rounds of additional free margaritas, both Cindy and Stacy passed out on their beds for the night. However, Stacy's eyes suddenly shot open. She had a distinct feeling that she was being watched, and she could clearly smell pipe smoke, though it was a non-smoking hotel. She let her eyes try to adjust to the dark as she whispered, Cindy, do you smell that? When Cindy did not answer, she fumbled for the light on the nightstand. As the light came on and her eyes were forced to adjust yet again, she let out a scream. The bed that Cindy had been sleeping on had been moved, so it was nearly diagonal to her own, and Cindy was not on the bed. Stacy jumped out of bed, thinking Cindy might have gotten up and headed out of the room for some reason, when she noticed red locks of hair just above her eyesight. She looked up and screamed again, seeing Cindy stuck to the ceiling, though obviously still sound asleep. Stacy jumped up on Cindy's bed and grabbed Cindy's arm and pulled, but Cindy did not wake up, and nor did she budge from the ceiling. Fear gripped Stacy. She maintained her hold on Cindy's wrist and jumped up to let her legs fold so that she could use her own weight to try to pull Cindy from the ceiling. And that was enough to cause both Cindy and Stacy to crash onto the bed, which finally jostled Cindy awake. What the hell is wrong with you, Stacy? Cindy asked, bleary-eyed. You were on the ceiling, Stacy screamed. What? Cindy asked, thinking this was one of Stacy's weird pranks. You were on the ceiling, Stacy repeated, emphasizing the words. Fear had gripped her so much that she knew no other way to explain it than what she woke up to. That's ridiculous, Cindy said. Your bed was moved. Did you move it? Cindy looked and now saw that her bed had indeed moved. She had not moved it. I swear to God, Stacy, if this is one of your pranks, Cindy warned, I am going to be so pissed. I was dreaming about this Viking named Alamandi Bloodaxe, and he was just about to take me to his tent. Stacy cut her off and said, Cindy, I need you to shut the fuck up for a minute. I didn't do any of this. I woke up because I felt something was watching me and I could smell pipe smoke. Suddenly, the sheets flew off of Stacy's bed. Bo screamed and immediately ran for the door. The door seemed jammed until both Cindy and Stacy slammed into it several times, nearly falling into the hallway where Jane stood next to the door. Had she been holding it shut? "Can I offer you another margarita?" she asked. Her voice seemed distant, chilling, and strangely calm. Cindy and Stacy got up and ran past her where they saw Fabian still mopping that same red wine stain. He was still repeating the same words he had originally said. "This? No, no, no. One of the guests spilled wine. Red wine. That's all that is." And he repeated it again and again as Cindy and Stacy raced past him. As he came to the foyer, Lewis, the manager, was standing in front of the entrance, facing them, his expression dark. "Were you not satisfied with the services provided?" he asked. "What is wrong with this place?" Cindy screamed at Lewis. "Please," Lewis said sternly, "go back to your room. Everything will be fine in the morning." Cindy and Stacy pushed past Lewis, passing through him, and in that moment feeling a remarkable amount of cold course through their body. They stumbled and fell outside into the snow in the dark night, where just outside the door they saw Thomas. "We can never leave," he whispered. "I don't want you to stay, or you would never be able to leave. In the shadows of darkness, the truth is hidden." He looked up just as the full moon began to break through the storm. "The light will reveal the truth," he said. Both Cindy and Stacy looked up, and now the full moon had pierced the storm clouds. They could see the hotel was in ruins, nowhere near as beautiful as it first appeared. "What the hell just happened?" Cindy asked. "I don't know," Stacy remarked, "but I don't want to stay here." Both her and Cindy got up and ran to the car. As they drove further down the road, driving quickly yet cautiously, Stacy looked up from the mobile phone. "It says here in 1862 there was a massive snowstorm that trapped people in Julian, and in that hotel the Julian Arc surged. Everyone was found frozen to death. They closed and condemned the building in 1876, where people reported unusual things happening to them." Cindy and Stacy had made it home safely eventually, but neither of them spoke of that night ever again, nor did they ever go back to Julian.